with a lot of joy because of the firing of Joy Reid. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice, they're going to get it on. Jillian Michaels back in studio. She's got a podcast. She's got an app. It's all there. Podcast is Keeping It Real with Jillian Michaels, and the app, very popular fitness app, Jillian Michaels, the fitness app. Good to see you again, my dear.
Good to see you, big guy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Now, I know you were in Malibu, then you're out of Malibu. I'm in Malibu. I'm still in Malibu, but I'm out of Malibu. Well, I'm out,
but
I'm in.
How are you still in Malibu?
Yeah.
You know that's like, you know as well as I do, that's going to be a 10-year debacle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Easy.
Oh, yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
There's not even anybody in charge. There's like an interim person in charge. There's no plan to clean anything up.
No,
it's going to be a disaster. It is. I mean,
no.
It's going to be a disaster squared.
It's funny because there's a. Now, I'll tell you something I didn't know. When I got my sort of, I guess. I got smuggled into Malibu about 4 or 5 weeks ago and escorted in with a fire guy, sort of inside, don't tell anybody kind of thing.
Coyote.
And when Coyote smuggled me in, he welded me into the fender of his dually truck with some coffee grounds so the dogs wouldn't catch us.
I like it.
So at some point, we're heading back up Sunset, and he goes, "Oh, this street's closed off." And many streets were closed off, but not in this area. Anyway, Kamala Harris lives up off of Sunset, which I never knew about. I lived here my whole life.
Palisades, yeah?
In the Palisades.
Yeah.
So she lives sort of around OJ's old place. You know, go down Sunset, and you'd sort of head up the hill a little bit. Go down another 3 streets and head up the hill a little bit. That's Kamala's place. Now, they got a big tractor trailer, armored vehicle, police, whatever thing parked in the end of the street. And the guy said they do it kind of like they're pretending like it's a looter thing, but it's really her house. So she's in that neighborhood. She lives in the Palisades. Her part didn't get hit. I don't think it went that far, that close to the 405 freeway on Sunset, but went basically from the ocean, PCH, and up Sunset and sort of all the way up, but it didn't make it to her place. But she lives there, so she's making the rounds, and she had this to say. We have a vid of her, so if you're worried that this place wasn't going to get put back together lickety-split, you can listen to her, because she has a very detailed plan on how to get this thing back together.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Goes through your mind when you see this? You're here, you're now seeing it up close.
It's not only seeing it, Alex, you can smell it. You can feel it, right? So it's seeing it with our eyes, and many people have seen it. You all are covering it. But to literally be on the ground here, you can smell.
Wow.
The smoke that was here, you can feel the.
All right, put on pause for a second. It's an interesting thing because these people are idiots because when they speak, their brain is going, I want something good. She goes, you can smell, and she starts thinking about stuff, and she starts thinking about maybe vulcanized rubber that was burned or toxins or something, and then she goes, you can smell the smoke that was here, which is like what a 7-year-old would say. Yeah. But when you hear Karen Bass speak, she goes, look, if you want to rebuild your home and you want to rebuild it exactly as it was, and that's not going to be a problem. But if you want to rebuild your home but make it more taller, like she couldn't say square feet. She couldn't say add square feet. She couldn't say add. Her brain went, give me something good, but it wasn't there. So they put themselves in these positions where they go, but if you would like to make your home more. She's going, come on, brain, give me something. Give me something. And what comes out is more bigger than it would cost more for that to do her. She couldn't say cubic foot. She couldn't say, like, look,
It's baffling.
If you want to build on the same footprint, that's fine. If you want to add a second story and add more square footage, we're going to have to talk, but it's the same footprint. She doesn't know, she can't say the word square footage because she's never said it because all she does is talk about good vibes. These are process people, Jillian. They're process people. They never do anything.
I know.
They talk. All they do is talk.
I know.
Sorry, run her one more time, then we'll get into Jillian because she's mad too. This is her just saying nothing. Her saying, I'm on the ground.
Conceptual.
Yeah.
Here you can smell the smoke that was here.
Oh, it was
you
there.
can feel
Okay.
the toxicity, frankly, of the environment.
That's a $5 word.
You
Yeah.
can feel the
Dig.
energy of all of the folks who are still here on the ground.
Dig for it.
You know what I was thinking? Somebody needs, you know, like when cats get up on furniture and they get hit with a squirt gun? Someone needs a squirt gun for her going, babe, you're rambling now. Let's go. We want to talk about timelines here, clean up, things of that nature.
It is fascinating that she is still front and center. I'm like, isn't this the part where you kind of quietly usher her away and pretend like none of this happened with her candidacy?
They don't have many people in that.
Forget the fire. You're going to combine these two catastrophes into one with that clip.
Yes.
It's just, I'm fascinated.
I'm fascinated too.
Fascinated.
But I'm mostly fascinated by all the idiots who vote for the process circle talkers. You know, this is, to my late great mom, this would have been fantastic because you'd go, yeah, because she understands the way people feel. And it's like, we're not building anything, we're not fixing anything, and we're not preventing anything from burning down. We're just talking about vibes. And nothing's ever been built on vibes. No wars won, no bridges built, no skyscrapers, nothing. It's all vibes, but it is so attractive to so many people in California.
I don't think that's it, Adam.
You know,
I think it is the propaganda about the alternative. I really
well,
do.
it's
I really
both.
do.
Well, it's both. You have to create both. I mean, you have
do
to
you
have
know
both.
someone that genuinely was passionate about her? I
No.
don't. It was like, well, she's better than him. That's what I would hear all the time.
No, I know, but we just had 100 years of Gavin Newsom in California. He's another circle talker, process person that says nothing, and that is attractive to us. We had a choice. We had a guy named Rick Caruso who was nuts and bolts commercial builder, let's get it done. And then we had Karen Bass, process circle talker, and we took her.
But there's a lot of reasons why
And no one
that
said
happened.
Bass was, I'm sorry, no one said Rick Caruso was Hitlerian.
No, they didn't.
We just dug the vibe of the circle talker more than the white dude who wanted to do stuff.
I got a counter argument here.
Please.
Okay. Two things. Number one, he was close. So much so that I believe Obama himself came out and campaigned on her behalf. That's how close he got.
Yes.
And the second argument I have
He
heard...
was close. It wasn't that close,
It wasn't that close. I
But it
wasn't
was-
here at the time. I was in Miami at the time. So
It wasn't that close, but he was somewhere in the running.
Okay, and the second part that I have heard from Californians who ended up going with Bass is not that they don't like him. It's that they thought because she was a woman of color, she would be able to do and say things that he wouldn't be able to do as a white male to get the job done.
Yeah, no, there's that. Well, listen.
It shouldn't happen, but I've heard it. It's like, well, you know,
it's the
she
woman
can say these things.
The
'cause
woman
she's...
of color part is half right in that we love. My hippie mom would have been very proud of herself for
Yep.
voting for the first black woman of
For
color. But it
sure.
wasn't pragmatic. It was just self-congratulatory. Look what we did. We,
Yeah, 100.
I told people, I've lived here my whole life. There's an airport. It's called LAX. There's a Tom Bradley terminal. Tom Bradley was the mayor in 1972. Tom Bradley was the mayor 50 plus years ago. It's not a groundbreaking thing to us in Southern California. Maybe other parts of the South, perhaps, or something. We had a black man who was mayor maybe 2 times. I mean, like, I had a long run, 68, 9. I mean, the guy... 50 years ago, we had a black mayor. So let's get over it.
Yep.
And now let's get a good mayor. And Tom Bradley, by all counts, was a good mayor. And nobody cared what color he was. he just was a good mayor.
I don't remember, obviously, because you and I were if we were born, we were
What
very
year
young at
was
the time.
Tom Bradley mayor of, I don't know why I want to
I
say
feel like
72
I was alive, though, because I
through.
feel like my mom met him or worked with him. There's a picture, so I feel like I was alive.
UCLA track star, I think. Like an interesting dude.
Okay.
And he was very middle of the road, and he's like how politicians used to be. 73 to 93?
Wow.
Really?
Nice stretch.
Is that true?
93.
There's a
No,
20-year mayor.
Is that possible?
No, I don't think so. But I do remember him being mayor for a long.
I do remember.
But by the way, when you're a kid, 4th grade to the 7th grade is a long time.
This is true.
Right
You're
now,
not
it's
wrong.
blink of the eye, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As the decades roll past, I'm like, wow.
He was
okay.
mayor for 20 years in Los
possible.
Angeles. Is that what that is
Sort of
saying?
through the riots.
First black mayor, first liberal mayor, longest serving mayor. 5 terms.
Was he the mayor during the
5
that's
terms.
I don't remember
the
that.
guy. All right. Anyway,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
I do remember him being mayor
Yeah.
forever, but everyone was fine with it. Black guy, mayor, good. Do a good job. Los Angeles is fine. Now it's not. Okay, so let's get the race out of the equation because we've been there and done that. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we did
it was over 50 years ago.
I have to admit that there was a time, I want to say a decade ago, that I completely bought into all of that. And it is absolutely virtue signaling and feeling like you're a really good person and you're doing the right thing and you're elevating people who have been marginalized for decades until shit starts going totally south. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck what color she is. This is a disaster. Then it's like, it all of a sudden doesn't matter anymore. And Gavin Newsom is equally as incompetent, if not worse, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
he is not a person of color. So,
No,
yeah,
far from
wow,
it.
my God.
Here's a topic switcher for you, and I'll get back to us complaining about this.
Oh, good,
stuff.
because I mean, I love that.
I want to know.
I got so much to say.
You're a parent, right?
I am.
What do you have?
I got a girl, 14,
Oh boy.
and a boy, 12 and a half. I say a half because he keeps saying he's 13, but he's still 12.
So I don't know where you come down on this, but I have an idea.
All right, I'm ready.
I think it'll be effective.
Okay.
I'm a problem solver.
I like it. Do I have a problem?
Well, we all have a problem,
Okay.
which is I had a 3-year-old, could have been 2.5, but I had that 3-year-old kid on my flight yesterday from Salt Lake City back to Burbank, and this kid was just bellowing the entire time, just bellowing, you know? And I'm so self-conscious that I'm weird. Like as a parent, I would take my backpack and put it on his head. And I wouldn't zip it all the way closed. I'd leave enough to get some air in there. But I would just be going, all I would be doing is putting my hand in front of the kid. Just shh, 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 shh. This kid's like, whoa! On the plane, you know, I'm on the plane for a half hour before we take off. Half hour. I mean, the kid is just bellowing the entire time. And I've done 2 shows the night before, went to bed late, got up early, you know, sat in traffic for an hour. And this kid is just screaming. He's like babies can cry, but 3-year-olds can bellow. You know, this kid was
They have a
bellowing the whole
developed
time.
diaphragm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's bellowing, and the dad's just sort of looking at him the whole time. And like I said, the dad had a cowboy hat. I would have just taken the hat and just, you know, done what they do with the plunger and the trumpet, with the mute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, wah, 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 wah. You know, like I would have done anything but just let him scream the entire flight. But I have a thought, and as a mom, I'm interested.
Okay.
And I don't know if you would find this abusive or not.
I highly doubt it.
Oh, good for you.
I was already thinking about whether or not what I say next was going to end up in some tabloid that I abused my kid.
We
Would
need.
you smother an airplane baby?
I'm just saying we need those hoods. You know when the
Yeah.
defendant spits on the judge, and then the next time they come into court and they just pull that sack over their head.
mask.
It's not like the guy can't breathe. It just helps all of those around him. All right, so we wouldn't do it, but we need a sack for the kid's head. But I got better. I got
Okay, I'm
better.
ready.
I got better.
Okay.
When I was a younger parent and my kids, twins, 18 now, were in the back of my car. I remember very distinctly. My son is very mellow, very detuned, very sort of Labrador-esque. And my daughter's Chihuahua. Let's get some. Let's go. Why isn't this happening now? Now, you know what I mean? Like, now, like if you'd say to her, if she'd be in her car, she will give you anxiety. These kids give you anxiety. And the reason they give you anxiety is they send you some text. They go, can you drive me to get froyo or something? And you go, yeah, I'll drive. And then they go, where are you? And then I'll go, I'm in my office. I'm just buttoning up. I'll be there in a second. And then they're down the car and you start running, like knocking stuff over and stuff, because 20 seconds later you get another text going, where are you? And it's like, you can't slow the motor. Like, just can't.
I just
do
got this
it.
text
You
yesterday.
just, right?
My son was like, pick me up at 5:30. At 5:32, I am turning onto the pickup spot, the road with the pickup spot that's 50 yards away. Mm-hmm. Where are you?
Right.
I go, psycho. It's 5:32. When it hits 5:35, you can text me, okay?
When he was
Right.
a kid,
Where
you
are
should have
you?
put a potato sack over his head.
Bastard.
Yeah.
I did give him one of those where you're like, I said,
Good.
stop.
Good, Mama. Then I think you're going to like my idea.
Okay, I'm ready.
By the way, that's how Dr. Drew would always be. I traveled the world with that guy. He'd meet in the lobby at 7 a.m. You get the text at 7:01. What's going on? Be like, I'm in the elevators. What's going on? You got to give it to 7:05. You got to give 5.
Yeah.
One Beatles song before you start checking into where the person is. But all right, so be it. Simply Safe. Well, everyone's trying to stay safe now, especially out here. I've been allowed back in my home for 3 weeks, but I'm safe, and we want you to be safe too. Traditional security systems only take action after someone has already broken in, and by then it's too late. Simply Safe's Active Guard outdoor protection can help prevent break-ins before they happen. That's what you want. You want to prevent a break-in before something gets broken. If someone's lurking around or acting suspiciously, the agents will see him and they'll talk to them in real time, activate spotlights, even contact the police. No long-term lock-in contracts or cancellation fees. Monitoring plans start at a very low price, about $1 a day. Very affordable. These guys are great sponsors, been around for a long time. It's Simply Safe, right, Dawson?
You can get 50% off your new Simply Safe system with professional monitoring and your first month free at simplysafe.com/Adam. Just head to simplysafe.com/Adam to claim your discount and make sure your home is safe this year. Keep your home, your family, and your peace of mind protected with Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
So I remember years ago, I've told the story before, I had my son and my daughter, and they're in the car seat, and they're in the back of the car, and we were driving from Malibu, from an old house I had in Malibu, and we're going through Malibu Canyon. We're heading back toward La Cañada. And as we're going through the canyon, my daughter, 2.5, 3, she's in the back, she's bellowing the whole time, just bellowing. And not, for no good reason. My son's just sitting there like one of those plastic owls, on top of a sign. It's just like he's just sitting there. She's just bellowing the whole time. So I'm driving the car. When she starts bellowing, I just hit the all window down. And all the windows come down. And I'm going 45 or 50. And she just gets hit with this big wave of air, right? And she gets hit with this wave of air. And I see her face go like, what the? Huh? She stops bellowing because she's confused. Yeah. And by the way, she's not bellowing for any good reason. She's bellowing to bellow. You know what I mean? So she can stop because there's no pain that's associated with it. And she gets confused. And she starts like shaking her head like, what's going on? This big gush, wind's hitting her in the face. And she's like, stops. She immediately stops and then sits. And then I roll the window back up. And then she starts collecting herself. And then she starts bellowing again. And then all the windows come down again. And she gets hit with this whoosh of air, 50-mile-an-hour breeze in the face. And she's like, stops. Stops her cold. And I was like, okay, this works. Like when you can, all the shushing or rattling of toys or anything, that doesn't do anything. But the shot of air confuses them. It knocks them off their game. and it gets their head somewhere else, right?
We talking
fairly gentle too.
And it's not
I
the
was thinking
sag.
a brake check.
No, it's not
You ever
a.
do those to your kids? I just bam, and they're like, "Oh, she's pissed."
There's no. It's not a forearm shiver. It's not the backpack over the head. It's not a flick in the nose. I said, I think this works. And then I started thinking about those little compressed air cans they use. They always have them when you shoot to clean the lens.
Yes.
And they're filming. Do it with the keyboards, computer stuff. Little can of air. And the kid just starts going nuts, and you just go, the kid's like, what? Kid will be confused. Eventually, it'll annoy the kid, and he'll start associating the crying with the Oh, we could use that for Kamala Harris, too. Yeah. You're right, because she starts waxing on about a seat at the table and living in dignity and trying to come up for different words that you can't come up with.
The end dust.
I love it.
Just shoot her. She'll feel it. Like, you see her hair move a little bit. People just think it's... And it'll be good for her because she'll get the fuck on to something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
Alex Michelson could interview her and just...
Like Pavlovian, like the minute
exactly
she
right.
Oh, eventually.
feels the swish or hears the sound.
Yeah.
Oh, eventually
I
we went...
don't know that she's capable of a course correct, though, Adam.
No, you're right. But eventually, in the Pavlovian department, we don't even need the compressed air. You just go...
Yes.
And she'd be like, oh, okay, moving on.
I think you're describing cognitive behavioral therapy.
That's what it would do.
I like it, but I'm not optimistic.
I'm not with her.
No.
But the kid bellowing on the flight, compressed air. Now, some Karen mom who thinks she's better than you is going to be very upset that you've hit your kid with a little compressed air.
Best guy.
But I think it would work. That can, they all use it on the lens. All the cameramen have it. It's got it's not going to tear anyone's retina. It's just...
I think that's quite gentle.
And I think it would work. I've experimented.
I mean, I will never have a toddler again. So I can't, I'll never be able to try and test. But I appreciate where you're going with
You
this.
should just do it with random toddlers in the airport.
Oh, I'm going to bring my own can
That's
on
what
the
I
next
mean.
plane.
Let's just
And I'll
try it
just
as
lean
well.
over and just go, let me give him a shot there. See what it does. It certainly confuses them enough to make them stop.
You're right. Yeah.
I like it.
Breaks their state.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
I wonder if there's videos of that. Can I be the first person that has come onto this? I found it out in the car. It works like a champ in the car. But I've never tried the mobile compressed air on a flight.
My ex does have a baby. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could ask her
To borrow the baby.
I don't think we'd get that far.
I mean,
but I could deliver.
Well, tell her it's for an experiment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's the child will remain unharmed.
This is for humanity. This is not just for us.
Yeah, it's not all about you.
I can inquire.
How old is she?
The baby is about to be 2.
Oh, good. Perfect age.
Good age.
All right.
I don't know what made this woman go in for a 3rd child, but she loves being a mom. And
This is your ex.
My ex. She's a great person, loves to be a mom, and she decided to start the race over.
Did she use a surrogate?
Her new wife had the baby.
I guess you can do that. How old is she? No, I mean, it's one of the perks of being a lesbian.
She was older, to be honest. I think her wife is now like 44 or 5, and she was like 42 when they did it.
And then
they don't keep me intimately involved.
Well, I know.
I don't know.
I know.
I know the generals.
Just tell her I need the kid for a Southwest hop. That's all.
I'll ask.
Southwest.
I could call,
And also,
I'll try.
I could go to Vegas. I could go to Phoenix.
Yeah.
I could go to Oakland. If she's got
are-
relatives in some of those places, I could drop the kid off. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let's not just
Pennsylvania.
kill jet fuel. Oh, she's in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
We're not going
Like
to make
Amish
it.
country.
Oh, no.
But the whoopie pies there are delicious.
I'm sorry.
That could be worth it.
But yeah, so see if we can borrow the kid for an experiment. I'll have him back in like 3 days.
I'll work on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, now, how do you figure out where you get the sperm when you're creating a kid like in such a fashion?
To be honest with you, this was a huge fight. with
Oh, yeah.
because I really, really
You
felt
wanted David
strongly.
Crosby?
I wanted a friend of the family. Mm-hmm. I think kids need a dad, and obviously. Mm-hmm. Yet it would sound obvious, but there are people that just don't think it's necessary.
I agree.
It's ideal.
Yeah,
I've had the fight many times. Like, what if the dad's shitty? I'm like, well, obviously we wouldn't pick a shitty dad.
Okay, and also,
And then there are sperm banks. I did not like that, simply because, one, I wanted my kid to have a father role model, so a man in his life. Whether it was a girl or a boy, I think it's equally important for different reasons. And I just, do you really want to open the door to, who knows?
Yeah, well, so how much is the man involved in your child's raising? Because I understand, you're lesbian and relationships, but you see the value of male role models.
Very much so. The long story on this one is that she actually won that fight. So she ended up using a donor.
Oh,
and
so donor.
We had a deal that I was allowed to ask 2 different friends, and they didn't want to do it. And you can understand why. I wouldn't want to do it. I'd be like, if I'm the kid's parent, I'm going to need to be really involved. And they wanted to do it. But so much so that she was like, I don't want to share my kid.
Well,
it was one of the biggest fights we ever had, and it was the beginning of the end, very unfortunately, because our disagreements ended up being magnified.
These are fundamental.
I hate
but
to
these
say
are
it.
interesting. Here's an interesting question, which is, I learned from Loveline.
I'm ready.
Men aren't that fluid. It's hard to get them to go from being heterosexual to homosexual. You can, but it's real hard.
Okay.
Women are much more fluid. They can move in other directions.
Less of a commitment, though, Adam.
I agree. I totally agree.
As a dude, I mean, I also do not want a. Never mind. We don't need to get.
I get what you're saying.
It's more of a commitment. You know what I mean?
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So get graphic, but we've seen the videos. I mean, I'm just saying.
What I'm saying is some women may be more traditional, found this lifestyle later in life after you've learned a few things, and are doing it for, I would say, organic reasons.
Okay.
Some women are angry at men and enjoying the lesbian lifestyle, which means, no, you do not want a man in this person's life. And so you're more traditional, and you're saying, I think it's important for a child to have a man present in their life, but many lesbians are there because they're angry at men. So you're going to make a tough point there. You got to find a traditional sort of old school, in their sensibilities, lesbian who shares this.
It's unfortunate that would be considered traditional. I mean, it's Freudian.
Well, we're not.
It's
you mean mother, father?
Kids need. My mom happens to be a psychoanalyst, so I could sit here and tell you all the reasons kids need a father in their life. Boys need a role model. Boys need to feel contained. Boys need a girl needs to have that healthy transference where daddy tells her she's beautiful. Daddy gives her this internalized sense of self-esteem. She plays that out, hopefully, in healthy relationships with men. Now, again, it's ideal. I get it. Not everybody has the perfect father, and it can backfire. But if you have the luxury of being able to say, this is a great man. This is a guy. There was one guy, and he goes, I've always wanted to be a dad. And she was like, nope.
Wow.
Because she just did not want. She didn't want somebody to.
She didn't want a guy around.
Not a guy.
Oh.
She didn't want to give up her kid.
She didn't want to share. She wanted time share.
That's exactly it. Whereas I was like, this is amazing. It sucks because I've had these talks with my son, and it fucks with him. And I'm like, buddy.
Which part? Not
having a dad.
Not knowing
it's heartbreaking. It's honestly, it's really hard. It's heartbreaking. I watch it play out in his life in different ways. And the only thing I can say is I'm like, pal, I'm sorry. This is not the only way, obviously, that we have and will continue to fuck you up. But if it didn't go this way, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
If I had gotten my way,
exactly,
you wouldn't actually exist. So this is something that we both have to contend with, and the trade-off is you.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Did your ex get along with her dad?
yeah,
She had great
She
admiration
loves
for
her
dad.
dad.
Well, that's
she
interesting.
didn't want to share.
Didn't want to share.
She gave me a couple of guys. Then the third one was like, I've always wanted to be a dad. And she just was like, no way.
But is part of that your very busy schedule and lifestyle, and maybe hers isn't as busy as yours? I mean, maybe she looked at this as, this is kind of my job. Your job is traveling, is making money, is motivating, is
Well, I mean, now
working.
it's 50-50 with the kids. I mean, so it ended up being the thing you didn't want, which was giving up the kids half the time.
That's ironic. Very ironic. Well, let me say this. I don't know. Does she work? Does she have a career?
She does not work.
That's what it kind of felt like. This is what she wanted to do.
It is, and she's great at it.
But it is ironic that, yes, that you bring up now with shared custody, this kid you don't get to see 50% of the time, whereas the dad you're worried about was going to see the kid 10% of the time.
Right.
And now we're at 50. But bigger
Right.
subject, and I talk to Dr. Drew about this all the time. People like not wanting something to happen, but willing it to happen and almost making it a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
I can't tell you
100%.
so many people in my life, I go, you didn't want this, you didn't want this, you didn't want this. Now you have
Created it.
Why did you do this? Or why did you feel the necessity to do it? Now, I don't think they do it consciously. But I, as a dad who's semi-present, I say, I will tell my kids all the time, whatever it is you do, whatever happens to you, you will do it to yourself.
Yep.
You're going to blame everybody. You're going to blame the boss. You're going to blame the man. You're going to blame everything. No. You, everybody I know whose life didn't work out the way they wanted to or got exactly what they didn't want, they brought it on themselves. And I don't know why. And I don't know what that is.
Explain literally how this happens. When people act to avoid the things that they fear, they create it. The behavior they engage in to prevent it manifests it. I'll give you an example. Okay. You want to date this girl. You're terrified she's going to say no. So if you ask and she says yes, well, you win. But if you ask and she says no, you're mortified, you're humiliated in front of all of your friends. If you do nothing, what happens? And people always say nothing. But it's not nothing. It's the worst possible scenario. That's what happens when you say nothing. So now you don't ask, and now she never goes out with you. That's your worst case. You'll survive the humiliation. You'll learn from it. You'll become better at approaching girls. And the right person right around the corner in life is waiting for you to become whoever you need to be ready for that healthy relationship. I have seen it over and over and over. You're afraid to go to the doctor. Why? You don't want bad news. You don't go to the doctor. You end up with a quadruple bypass, or God forbid, dying of a heart attack. It's whatever you act to avoid that exact behavior in attempting to avoid it manifests it irrefutably.
I just mean every single person I've ever fired has brought it on themselves.
Yeah.
And then at some point they're disappointed they got fired. And it's like, you went out of your way to make sure that this happened. There's so many things that I never needed to know about. And it's kind of crazy. And I think it's subconscious, but it's a pattern. And now successful people never do it. But unsuccessful people make it happen all the time. And
I do
it's
it
kind of
sometimes.
crazy.
Really? You don't? Okay. This is, forgive me for this little sidebar. I decided I was going to try ayahuasca. Never done psychedelics. And everybody I know in my line of work is experimenting with psychedelics to treat, I'm not an addict at all, but to treat addiction, to have epiphanies, all of this stuff. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm the only one in my little coterie here that hasn't tried this. So I went into it, Adam, and I told the shaman, I was like, listen, all I don't want is to feel like I drank 10 tequilas and then have nothing happen. And she's like, why are you saying this? I'm like, because I just want to get on the table, like, what I don't want so I can ease into the... Motherfucker, if I did not feel like I drank 10 tequilas, vomited my guts out, and then felt nothing after except for this voice to tell me, asshole. I swear to God, like a pissed off parent. Who do you think you are? You don't manipulate and manhandle reality. You know, this is how it's going to go, and you're not the boss. And it gave me every single thing I said I did not want. Arguably because I myself, and I'm pretty successful, manifest this shit.
God came down from heaven and gave you exactly what you asked for.
Fuck? And then the shaman lady, when we were, I can't remember what it's called, but we integrate the experience. She's like, I told you don't do it. And I was like, but I didn't do it. The next night when I reapproached it, I went in with zero expectations, tried to be very present and just say, you know what? If nothing happens, like, I'm here with friends. I got a couple days off. This is great. At least I can tick it off my bucket list. Like, no big deal. And then I did get sick, but it passed relatively quickly, and then it kind of opened itself up to me and did give me what I was looking for in that. I didn't get to blast off and talk to God or any of that stuff, but I asked specifically a few questions about how to approach different things in my life, and I did get answers.
Wow.
But it spanked me pretty darn hard.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
But
I
you
was
had a
like, okay,
spiritual
this is
experience.
something that I'm doing. People do it, I think, to varying degrees on a continuum.
I agree. I mean, it's a human quality. It's the kind of thing, you see the pothole in the distance and you're going, don't hit that pothole. Do not hit that pothole. Don't hit that. And you see and eventually you're just going through the pothole and you have a flat tire and you're like, I don't know why we had to do that, but we had to do it for some reason.
I don't know.
Well, look, I mean, I'm oversimplifying it, but if anyone, and I would say this about myself, if you ever have a loose tooth or something that hurts or is painful, is annoying or something, you just sit around flicking it with your tongue all day. You know what it is.
Yeah.
You know it doesn't feel good. You know what's going on. You can't get to the dentist till Friday or whatever. Why the flicking? Why the self-inflicted tongue flick on your tooth? That you understand what the feeling is. It's
Human
not. It's a
nature.
painful feeling.
Right.
Why do we keep flicking it every 31 seconds?
In the event that maybe... Okay, I'm guessing. Hold on.
This time
right.
I
it's
gotta
not
guess.
going to hurt.
I don't know why this keeps slipping. Forgive me. Okay, in the event that maybe you flick it again and it doesn't hurt. So,
Right.
like, I fucked up my elbow snowboarding last week, and it kills, like, right here. I hyperextended it. And yet, every, 30 minutes, I'm like, still hurts, man. Still hurts.
I wish
Damn
it
it.
was as pragmatic as you describe.
Okay, maybe I'm
it's-
guessing. I'm grasping at straws here, man.
No, I think it's just a little infliction of pain.
Maybe.
All right, here's a question.
Make you feel alive.
Yeah.
I got a lot to get into. Here's,
Okay, sorry.
No, it's all right.
Shouldn't have gone down that Ayahuasca.
No.
That was interesting.
I'm interested in it as well. I've never done it. All right. I had something funny. You know, it's funny. We're kind of talking about personality types, right? And Mike August, who I travel with, he's a problem solver, but not because he's smart. It's because he has chutzpah. And he's the kind of guy who, if you go, oh man, this line is so long, we're never going to make our flight. He'll go, well, just go to the front of the line and tell them to get out of the way because we're running late. And I go, don't bother. No, Mike, you can't. And he'll just walk up and go, sorry, we're running the flight. And I'll go, sorry, I don't feel right. And get on flight. And then you go, that is a good quality if you need to get stuff done. So this is out of a movie. We're leaving Salt Lake City before I get on the flight with the bellowing kid, right?
Got it.
Same flight.
I'm with you.
He drops me off with all the bags, including a big merch bag we got to check. And then he goes, I'm going to go drop off the rental car. I go, okay. So I go drag everything inside the airport. And I see at Southwest the bag check kiosk. They have 3 or 5 kiosks, and you print out the thing and put it on the bag. Then you go hand it in.
Yeah.
The line for that is about 200 snowboarders in it. That's all a bunch of heshers holding their snowboard thing. And the line is... Now, I've done this a million times at Burbank at LAX. There's 2 people in line, and you get the thing print out. Now there's 200 people in line. And it's about an hour and 5 minutes for the flight. And I say to Mike, he's coming back after dropping off the rental car. I go, Mike, we're not going to make the bag. Now, the line for checking the bag's 200 people long. The line is I don't know, hour and a half. We don't have that kind of time.
No.
We could take some of the stuff that's in the bag and like stuff it in our bag, DVDs, books, whatever, and then we're just going to junk the bag. We're just leaving the bag behind because we're not waiting in line. We're not checking the bag. The bag's on its last legs anyway. No harm, no foul. I don't want to leave it, and I'm thinking about like I don't want bomb patrol to come over and like stuff like that. I'm trying to figure out how to dump this bag in a way that's not going to get things cordoned off and stuff. So I go. So Mike comes in.
Do you want to terror watch this?
Right.
Okay.
And Mike comes strolling in, and it's an hour before the flight. And he goes, what's going on? I go, you see this line? It's going all the way around the corner. He goes, yeah. I go, that's the bag check kiosk line. We're not going to be able to check this bag. And he goes, yeah, okay. All right, give me a minute. I go, I don't know what we're doing, Mike, because this is the line. And we got a bag. And he goes, hold on. There's a priority plus line or whatever, but we're not in it. So Mike goes, okay, give me a minute. And he goes to the kiosk. He goes to the other kiosk where you just get your boarding pass. Eventually, there's going to be a kiosk where you fly the plane, where you get your pilot's license, comes out of the kiosk with a little captain's uniform.
I mean, that could be happening now, by the way.
Some Fiesta Mix. Fiesta Mix comes out and a pilot's license. Because we're now at the point where there's nothing they can't outsource, right?
I mean, it's like every day
here's your FAA security
too,
clearance. Here's some Fiesta Mix. Now go fly the plane.
And you need a mustache, a gray one.
Yeah.
So Mike goes to the other kiosk, which no one's in line for, and he gets the ticket. He gets both our tickets printed out. Then he comes back around and he goes, okay, let's go get in the helpline. And I go, what are we doing? He goes, bring all the luggage. Bring the luggage. Get in the helpline. So now we go stand in the helpline. And we're standing in this helpline, and they got like the priority plus. And then they have the other people that are just dropping off the bags that they waited in line and put the tags on themselves from the kiosk. And we get to the front. And Mike hits the chick hard. He's like, we went to the kiosk, we got our boarding passes, but we couldn't get our bag check things out of it. Yeah. And I think the kiosk is broken. And she goes, wait a minute, did you go you went to the boarding pass, you didn't go to the baggage, whatever.
Called him.
And he goes, I went to the kiosk, I tried to get out the boarding pass, the boarding pass didn't come out, the thing's broken. And she goes, no. You went to the boarding pass printout. You did not. That line is for. And then, like out of a movie, an angel of a woman standing 4 feet away goes, yeah, that happened to us too.
Yeah.
It's like, well, first off, Mike's making all this shit up. So it definitely didn't happen to you. She was checking her bag.
The grift. She's doing the same
She's on
thing.
the grift. She goes, that's all you needed. All I needed. She goes,
a backup.
She goes, I didn't know if she knew what we were talking about. She goes, that happened to us too. And Mike goes, do you see? And the woman behind the counter is like, okay, I know what just happened.
Yeah. You gotta go through.
I'm not going to call you a liar, but you're an idiot. You went to the wrong one. No, there's no baggage one that comes out of that one. And at some point, Mike had done an impressive enough job with a straight face and a little indignation, along with in a hurry, where she just went, okay, just put the bag on the thing. Get out of here.
That's a delicate dance, by the way.
A good win.
Yeah.
Because when you get into the yes, it is, no, it isn't, they'll remove you from the airport. I mean, that is a fine needle to thread.
You dance the jig.
Yeah, man. You got to start out heavy charm.
Yeah.
And then it's like
heavy
DEFCONs.
charm with a little confusion.
Yeah, it's like, and then they start to push back. Then you got to get a little more aggressive.
And you gotta be on the offense. Mike's like, your kiosk is broken over there. Because we got the boarding passes, but we didn't get the baggage claim stuff from there. Wow. We only got the board. And she was like, well, that's because you were at the wrong kiosk. You got it. And he goes, no, it's the right kiosk. It wouldn't print out the.
I'm impressed.
Oh, he's poker face, straight. You know, a lot of
pretty
conviction.
good at this stuff too. You have to have a little bit of
And
sociopathy.
who was that
to do
lady
it.
who just screamed? That happened to us too.
See, you got some divine intervention.
That's what we need. We just needed her little paprika on top, just to put us over the. Yeah, con angel, just to put us over the top.
Yeah, because that ain't easy. I thought you were going to lose there for a second when she called bullshit on him. I was like, you're fucked and you're going to airport jail.
We were teetering because she was about to say, you got to get in that line if you want. First off, they did this to themselves because they opened up a window that said help line, like help, which that's all Mike needed. He just needed just a quarter inch of daylight to push his foot in there, you know, because we weren't priority plus and we weren't whatever, but the help thing, that's now Mike's showing up confused. You know, I mean, like, I went to the kiosk. I couldn't get the, meanwhile, there's 200 people in line. He had to walk through all those people to get to the help thing. And you're also, people have a thing where they're sort of a Kenny Rogers, hold up, fold up, you know what I mean? Like at a certain point, they just go, yeah, okay, get on the, like I don't, they don't pay me enough to just stand here and argue with you over it. I don't, but ultimately I'm on break in 20 minutes. Let's just.
Trying to wear them down.
Just trying to just go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they really have to dig in. But that was powerful.
That was
It was a great performance, and I was glad I was there for it.
I'm amazed.
I was like the boom mic guy in a set, you know, in a Meryl Streep movie, just with tears rolling down my cheeks.
See, I would have been like this.
This is powerful.
This
just
is my friend Adam Carolla. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, the problem is they don't think anybody you've heard of flies Southwest. Homes.com knows that when it comes to home shopping, it's never just about the house or condo. It's about the home. And what makes a home is more than just a house or property. It's the location. It's the neighborhood. If you have kids, it's also schools, nearby parks, transportation options, all the above. That's why Homes.com goes above and beyond to bring home shoppers the in-depth information they need to find the right home. And when I say in-depth, I'm talking about deep. That's right. Each listing features comprehensive information about the neighborhood, complete with a video guide. They also have details about local schools with test scores, state rankings, and student-to-teacher ratio. They even have an agent directory with the sales history of each agent. So when it comes to finding a home, not just a house, this is everything you need to know, all in one place. Homes.com. Homes.com. We've done your homework. Well, breaking news. I think that's been broken. You're constantly scrolling on Facebook, Twitter, X, TikTok, probably over the news by now. Well, if that sounds like you, I recommend that you listen to the Up First podcast from NPR. Up First frees you from the all-day scroll obsession by telling you everything you need to know in easy 15-minute bites, no BS. They take the biggest news stories of the day and they just break it down into little digestible pieces, and you can listen and then be informed. Up First, short format, makes it easy to catch up on what's happening while you're getting ready, making breakfast, or getting ready to go to work. Either way, you get small, little digestible pieces. You get informed, and you're never bored. It's Up First by NPR. Right, Dawson?
Listen now to the Up First podcast from NPR.
Here's a scam.
Yeah.
Are you ready for a scam?
I'm into it.
Mike goes.
We live in California.
Mike goes, I was checking in when he was getting our boarding passes, and they had a box that you could hit. Oh, this is why Mike is super scary. They had a box you could hit that said priority baggage pass, meaning Southwest knows it's an hour and a half wait. Southwest knows you're not making it with your bag on this flight. But for $219, oh yes, you can hit priority baggage, and then the thing comes out, and then you go to the priority lane next to. Now Mike's like, instead of 219, how about free, bitch? And I just go act stupid in the lane right next to the priority lane. But what they do is they go, look, we know what we're doing. It's an hour before the flight. You're standing here. If you got a bag to check, you ain't getting it on this flight. But for 219, we'll get it on this flight. Now, that thing's got to be either $0 or $5 or $10. When there's nobody in the other line, then why would anyone ever pay $219 to check? But that,
it's rarefied air, spending $219 extra.
That is some priority gouging there because they calculated you're not making it on. And that's
actually, that is criminal.
It's diabolical. And by the way, if I was standing next to Mike, I would have said, pay the $219. And then he would have went, I don't pay for $219. And I go, yeah, but what's our alternative? We're not getting the bag onto this flight. But he did it, and then he went in there with this full Bradley Cooper-esque, performance, and it worked. You know what I mean? He knew he had chops.
Super impressed.
I am too.
I really.
Yeah.
Wow. And if they're going to con you for $219, that's justification right there to hit that help desk.
They know they have you by the short hairs because who the hell would ever pay $219 to check a bag under normal circumstances? Right. It has to be either you pay $219 or you go out and trash his bag.
Under duress. I will pay the $219.
I wonder how much research went into that. Like, how much do you think their luggage is worth? Well, it's got to be a little more than $219, right? The flight change, that'll be costly for them. Well, they had to. What if they have to stay overnight? Ooh, don't get too aggressive. That would put us at $450.
Well, also, you got to go $219 because if you go $225, you weren't thinking about it. $219 acts like it's based on something. It's specific.
I understand.
I don't know what they call that. Do they call that priority bag check or something? Like, someone's got to look it up, but they get it. I mean, they get the junk fee part of it, but they also get the, people always talk about gouging. I was actually talking to attorney Mark Gergos about this, sort of price gouging, and it's like, you go to the Dodger game and they went $19 for a beer. Was that gouging? I think it's gouging because it's about 50 cents.
Yeah.
The beer comes in a keg. It's Miller Lite, and a keg does like 104 servings.
Yeah.
And a keg is like $42.
Yeah.
So 3 beers and you're back to even, and I got another 100 beers to serve. Like, yes, that is price gouging, but do you want a beer? Do you have to have a beer? You know what I mean? Like, we do that everywhere for everything. I mean, you go to Pebble Beach and you go there during the off season, you get a hotel for $200. You go there during car week and it's $1,400 for the same room. What are they doing? I don't know. They're getting what the market will allow them to get. And once again, you do not have to have a beer at the stadium, and you do not have to go to Pebble Beach for car week. You don't have to.
But if you're intentionally fucking with things so people don't have adequate time, a reasonable amount of time that people have acclimated to over their entire life, about an hour and a half early, 2 hours for international flights, you're rigging the game. That's a different animal.
The problem is they always, the ticket or the whatever sale, go get there an hour, 2 hours early or whatever, but no one ever does. Like, we got there in time to check a bag if there was no line. But now there's a big, long line, and it probably says on the ticket arrive an hour before that in case there's something, but we don't listen.
Dance with the devil a little bit.
We dance, but I got the devil on my side. I got Mike August, master thespian.
I like it. See, I always have the credit card. Mm-hmm. It's like, the Delta card, the American card. I'm like, I got the credit card. When you have the credit card, you can board first. Yeah,
Let me ask you about boarding.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think.
Okay.
There's an emotional thing that I engage in when I fly Southwest. So I've talked about this before, but I have I'm going to liken it to something, and I think it's going to make sense, but feel free to disagree.
Okay. Dig in here.
Leaving Burbank, 27A Group A, 27. And what they do is they go, Group A, 1 through 30s, boarding now. And then at some point they turn that thing around and they go, Group A, 30 through 50 now. And then Group B, start lining up, right? Now, I'm like, I have a ticket that has a number on it. I'm not sure why I have to start lining up. I'm not sure why I need, and people will needlessly stand in line for 25 minutes. They'll just stand there. Like, what number are you? I'm 17. All right, I'm 22, so I'm 4 behind you. Whatever that is. Now, what I do is I just sit there in the lounge, and then at some point, when I got 27, and they don't yell out the number, but getting to the end of the 27, the 30, I just slide in, and I'll say to the person, well, what do you got? And they'll go 25, they'll go 30, whatever it is. I'll go, oh, you got 25? Yeah, go ahead. And then I'll slide in behind them with my 27.
I like that.
They don't like it.
No.
They don't like it because they've been waiting in line like sheep, but they've been waiting in line the whole time for a thing that doesn't really require a line, even though they tell you to line up. But they wait in line, and I don't take any extra time. There's not a conversation. I just slide in with my ticket that's one lower than them.
Yeah.
But they don't like it because they're line waiters, and I don't see why I have to stand an inch forward with the luggage. Why don't just sit in one of these comfortable lounge chairs? So here's the analogy.
Okay.
If this same person that has a little righteous indignation about me stepping in front of them after they were waiting in line for 15 minutes, even though I have a lower number than them, let's just say we're not at Burbank Airport. Let's say we're at a bakery. And I pulled a ticket.
Yeah.
And then I went and sat down at the bakery, and these guys lined up at the counter. Yeah. And then the guy went, anything lower than 30 or whatever, and I just walked up. Would that piss the guy off? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So what's the difference between the bakery and Burbank Airport?
Well,
I got a lower number than you, bitch.
Yeah.
You've outsmarted everybody in line.
Yeah, no, airport is a place for communal suffering. We all have to suffer. You with your lounge act over there, kicking back with your heels in there on top of your suitcase, just
Not a
rolling
care in the
straight
world.
up. Not a care.
They just reflected back
Yeah.
their incompetence.
No.
Did I shame them by making them look like suckers for standing in line for 20
think so.
minutes?
I just did that to get here, actually. The line, the 101 splits off with the 5 or whatever
cut
it is,
'em off.
and the 2 lanes are miserable. You just ride that 101, sail right past everybody, and sure enough, there'll be a break right as the freeway splits. I'm like, boop, every time. Nobody says you cannot drive on the 101 side. I mean, it's still one freeway up until the fork split.
It's true.
And then I'm gone, man. I just hit the gas, bam, I'm out.
Los Angeles.
You got to wedge in. I agree.
Yeah.
I just came up with a great app.
Oh.
It's called Send That Guy a Text. You just get his license plate number, send him a rando text. All of a sudden he slows down, starts looking at his phone. You slide right in.
That's genius.
Slide right in.
That's
text,
genius.
That's 2 car lengths worth of text.
Because you know what? I would say 1 out of every 10 times, I don't get the gap.
Yeah.
And then you got to sit there
No,
in the
when you
traffic
don't-
that's
Gotta
flying.
punch it through.
Yeah.
And risk your life because
When you
someone's
don't-
going to get pissed and shoot you for holding up the other
You
side.
get the way to deal with the non-gap is do the premature thank you hand wave. Once you give the premature, like the guy's like, hey, bitch, I wasn't letting you in. I don't know why you're thanking me. But once you thank them, they have to go, okay. So you have to shove in a premature thank you wave.
genius.
Yeah, Mike taught me that.
Gosh.
No, he didn't.
I was like, is Mike going to write a book? Holy cow, this guy's awesome.
Well, I can make fun of Mike as well, though. Because, he's not all perfect.
Oh, no. What did he do?
He had, God, let's see. Okay. So here's comedy.
Okay.
So Mike said, why don't we get to Salt Lake City a day early and we'll run your clean dry bar set at the Wise Guys in Salt Lake before we go to Provo and do your clean dry bar set, which is what I did. It's all clean comedy special because clean material is hard to come by and it's tough.
I think I may have dropped the F-bomb then one too many times. I did.
That's all right.
No,
You're a passionate
fine.
woman. You're passionate.
We appreciate you.
Respect that.
Sorry. I'm gonna wrap it up.
It's hard. It's hard to be clean. It's not about F-bombs. It is, but it's about themes. You know, themes get a little
I got you.
dicey. So he says, why don't we swing by Wise Guys in Salt Lake City? We'll get there there. They can run your set before whoever's headlining at Wise Guys. And I said, okay, so I'll just come in and do like a half hour, maybe 25 minutes before they hit the stage because there's a headliner. I'm not the headliner. I'm just popping in, right? So I go, all right, well, who's the headliner? And he goes, I don't know. You don't know him. I go, oh, okay. So I'm trying to figure it out because I'm doing a G-rated, very clean half hour, and this is Friday night nightclub crowd, you know? And I got to go up there with my, G-rated stuff. So I don't know if that's going to work nicely with the nightclub crowd, the raucous crowd, right? But, if it's Nate Bargatze, then he's clean,
I was just
so it would
thinking
work.
about him.
Yeah,
He talks about his kid and his wife. I was like, all right, yeah.
Wholesome.
Totally.
That would work. That would work. So we're coming up to the day, and I'm like, who's headlining this club, Mike? Because somebody's headlining, and I'm going in front of them. And I'm just curious what the crowd's going to be like. Who's come out to see this guy? And Mike just goes, yeah, I don't know him. You don't know him. I go, okay, all right. I will concede that there's lots of comedians and I don't know their names and whatever. So fine. So
are you running guesses in your? I'm like Andrew Dice Clay. Like
I stopped thinking about it. I just assume it's somebody I don't know, which it happens. And then we go, we land at the club. We land, we get to the club. We walk through the club. We go into the green room. I open the door, and Louis J. Gomez from Legion of Skanks is just standing there.
Dirtiest dude. Yeah.
I was trying to think of who's the most filthy that I can come up with.
It's pretty filthy, yeah, that whole crew.
Now, Louis is a name, and Legion of Skanks is a name, and I've been asked to do that. I've done this podcast or whatever, so I go, Louis, what are you doing here? You doing a drop-in set too or something? He goes, no, I'm headlining this weekend. I go, what? Mike, why didn't you just say, okay, he's the dirtiest comedian working, and now I'm going to go with this clean stuff. But Mike, why didn't you just tell me Louis J. Gomez was the headliner? And he goes, I don't know if you know him.
He assumed you didn't.
We could find out.
He set you up.
He's like, I didn't think you knew him. I was going, Big J, the Legion of Skank guy, was in here 2 days ago. I've done their podcast. Byron worked for these guys.
Yeah.
They try to get me to do Legion of Skank Fest every year. What? Why wouldn't I know this guy? I don't know. I don't know what you know him. I go, okay, let's not put this back on me. You could have just said Louis J. Gomez is there. That would have been, and then I could have went, who's that? But I wouldn't have. Because I'd go, oh, that guy, super dirty comedian. So this is going to be interesting now if I'm going to go open for him with this G-rated material.
So was it?
How'd it go?
Yeah, what the hell?
Did you flame out?
It was all right. It was as you would expect it to go with the crowd who paid money to see Louis J. Gomez perform did not want, Mr. Rogers coming in there with the comedy, but it was okay. And I was like, Mike, what? Anyway, when we drove from Salt Lake City back to Provo that night, I said one more time, Mike, I don't get, why didn't you tell me, Louis? I didn't know if you knew who he was.
This reminds me of a conversation that I would have with my 14-year-old.
Yes.
Like, there's no thought beyond, I didn't know. Not let me research and inform you. Let me see if you know. It literally reminds me, and the child has no frontal lobe.
Yes.
They don't supposedly until at least 25. This is what that reminds me of, is every conversation I have with my 14-year-old.
Yeah, I know. You just keep going in a circle.
Yeah.
Right.
And what's the next thought that we would have after this one? It's just, it stops there.
Mike's lack of frontal lobe thought was, Mike for some reason, didn't know who Lewis was. I don't know why, but he did not know. And in his world, if he didn't know, how was I going to know? Except for it's highly possible that I know who he is because I've done everyone's podcast. Okay. Here's what I'll file it under couldn't hurt. You can just go, who's headlining?
Yeah.
You don't know the guy, but he goes by Louis J. Gomez.
Yeah.
And then I'd go, the super filthy guy from Legion of Skanks? And they'd go, I don't know. And I'd go, it is that guy.
Yeah.
So now I'm a little worried because I'm going in trying to clean stuff out.
But in the event you both didn't know, there is always
The Google machine?
boom.
This is my fault. This is my fault. I should have looked. There's so many young, like, made it on Twitter, Facebook, whatever, Instagram-y comedians that are like 23 and sell out clubs and no one's ever heard of them just because they have a TikTok account or whatever. Okay. That I just go, okay, I've never. When he was like, you don't know the guy, I was like, all right, some local guy who's
Salt Lake bum.
All right, should we take a break? We got news. We got much to get into with Jillian. I got some vax stuff to get into.
Oh, I'm ready.
I got fire stuff to get into.
Can't wait.
RFK Jr.
Let's do it.
All right, quick break. Be right back after this. Home chef drowning in a sea of meal kit options. It's like a bad dating game show, and all the contestants look the same. That's where Home Chef comes in. Fresh ingredients and chef-designed recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Over 30 options a week covering a variety of dietary needs. The one I tried recently, which was great, which was urban crusted salmon with garlicky zucchini. That's right, it's garlicky. I don't know if they made that word up, but that's what it's called. And peppers, and it was real good. And you do save money as well. Save an average of $86 per month on groceries. That's right, because go to the grocery store, man. You don't get out of there for under $300 these days. Home Chef even has a delicious kid-friendly menu with 18 new options each week for picky eaters. It is approved. It is the best meal deal on the planet Earth. Am I right, Dawson?
For a limited time, Home Chef is offering our listeners 18 free meals plus free dessert for life. And of course, free shipping on your first box. Just go to homechef.com/Adam. That's homechef.com/Adam for 18 free meals and free dessert for life. You heard that right. Homechef.com/Adam. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Bam! You know the song, right? They're in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offers friendly, helpful service and all the parts and knowledge you need to maintain and repair your automobile. Always been an O'Reilly guy. Used to go to the one out in North Hollywood when I was over there. Then I moved to La Crescenta. I went to the one up on Foothill. Still swing by there every once in a while because I'm a hands-on guy. So whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you'll find the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts are knowledgeable, helpful, and best off, they're friendly because some of those auto parts guys can be a little tough around the edges. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today, or you can visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam.
Here's an actual thing our government is spending your tax money on. $21 million for voter turnout in India. Now back to the Adam Carolla Show.
Jillian Michaels, our favorite in studios, got a podcast out, Keeping It Real with Jillian Michaels, also a fitness app taking the world by storm. Jillian Michaels is where you can go for the fitness app. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you.
So stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff for you.
Let's go.
A lot of vax stuff has been coming out. I never took a very strong stance one way or the other. I was very much, if you need it, you should get it.
Right.
My 14-year-old son doesn't need it, so he shouldn't have to get it. I don't really need it. I know many who don't need it, but I have elderly parents who should get it. And it was a pretty simple equation for me. Like within my own immediate family, I had a son and a daughter, 14, fit, thin, and healthy. And I said, I do not want them to get vaccinated because, and I think people do a like, well, how could it hurt? Well, listen, I wouldn't want them to get a vaccination or get any procedure for anything that was unnecessary.
Yeah.
So, no, unnecessary for those two. Elderly parents, yes, probably a better reason they should get it, the vaccination, than the kids. And then I moved forward, and that was about it. And then you became an anti-vaxxer, and you were called a heretic, and you're killing grandma or some version of that, and people got very animated by it. And now it turns out that there's studies.
Right.
And lo and behold, as everyone's sitting down, turns out that may be bad for you. And all I said was very early on, I said, people are going to wish they didn't get this vaccination. Now, my parents are dead. So I don't know if they wish they got it or wish they didn't. But when, my mom died 18 months into COVID, not of COVID, just she died of old age, about 18 months in. And my dad died probably 3 or 4 years into COVID or after COVID, not by COVID. But when you're collectively 88 and 91, then go ahead and roll the dice on a vaccine that may or may not work. But when you're 14, now that may stick with you for a while. So that's how I came down. And you guys, we need to find too? That cow, Sotomayor, Supreme Court Justice. Remember she was up there making an argument that everyone needed to be vaccinated because there were kids on ventilators. Like, first off, can we circle back and rub some of this shit in these assholes' faces?
It's not working. I mean, you saw Birx just come out and say, actually, we should have followed the science and kids didn't need this. Did you not see this? It's like Dave Smith was furious. He came out and he's like, somebody needs to pay for this shit. Yeah. And
I was talking to Mike August about it, and it's like, who's Dave Smith? But but I get it. He was a Legion of Skank.
Nobody. Some local guy in Salt Lake, I think.
No, these people lied to our faces trying to get our kids an experimental vaccine. And nobody's accountable. Here's Sotomayor, by the way, when they went to the Supreme Court, and thank God, and by the way, to you assholes that are always like, the Supreme Court is weaponized. Well, thank God the Supreme Court leans right, or we'd all be vaccinated, or we couldn't have gone back to our work. According to the left side of the Supreme Court, that's what they wanted. But here's Sotomayor, I guess.
We have over 100,000 children, which we've never had before, in serious condition, and many on ventilators.
Yeah, listen, dumb cow. None of that's true.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
None of it.
So it's
Zippo.
like, she's breaking ground. Yes, she's the dumbest Hispanic ever to be on the Supreme Court. Yes, she's a groundbreaker. She's a fucking idiot, and she's dangerous. She wanted every one of your kids to be vaxxed, forced, vaxxed. You understand? And so
weren't they though? I had to vaccinate my kids for them to go to school.
You idiots, listen, couple things. You forced kids to do something that was unhealthy for their body, and then you also fucked their mind up by locking them out of school for a year and a half. But other than that, you love the kids. Okay. Here's all I'm saying. Maybe when the next whatever comes down the pike, maybe you sit the next one out. Maybe you don't weigh in. Maybe you don't get your crystal ball out and tell us what's going to happen on the next one. Or maybe don't argue with me when I tell you what's happening.
Okay, there's two elements to this. One is Birx, the evangelical doctor, who, by the way, Drew taught me so much about her on a podcast. They knew. She just admitted, I believe it was on Piers Morgan, that they knew kids did not need this vaccine and said, I wished we'd followed the science, something to that effect. So there are individuals that, in fact, did know kids did not need this. Now, there are a separate group of individuals, I'm assuming, like Sotomayor, who thought that they knew and bought the rhetoric without doing any homework and went forward, shamed everybody and said, you've got to do this because Fauci says so or whoever Burke says so they must be right. I see this all the time with a million different things, though. Very educated, intelligent people that form complete opinions and know absolutely nothing about which they speak. All the time.
Yeah, well, especially in your industry. I mean, diet-wise, you have kooks coming out of woodwork. But yes, no, I completely agree. You know nothing.
The time.
Just humble yourself and shut the fuck up. And
all
also, use a little kind of horse sense. You know, like I just looked around my neighborhood. We had tons and tons of kids. No one was ever sick. No one perished. No one was on a ventilator. So I was like, I've looked around. I've done my own survey.
Well, their argument was they'll give it to the grandma. It's like, well, how, though? If it's a vaccine, didn't you say it would prevent transmission? I mean, we've all seen that clip of Rachel Maddow. It stops with you.
Oh, we saw it with
crazy.
Rochelle Walensky lying. Okay, they all lied about it. Fine. Now it's injurious for some people. Thank you very much. I don't know, find a mirror and stare into it, you fucking retards. But I hearken back to this clip, and I don't know if there's a date on this clip, but it's a couple of women. I just stumbled into MSNBC.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, God. Why would you do such a horrible thing?
Well, I'll tell you why.
Stumble. Ooh.
No. You can find out a lot about what's going on by like watching how people you disagree with articulate their disagreements, you know? Mm. And on a rare occasion, you'll go, oh, okay, yeah, I never thought of it that way. But mostly it's just
to steel man yourself.
Yes. And this was probably 2022, maybe 2021. This is when they started making the push to try to get everyone vaccinated all the time. And they ran this segment on MSNBC, which was a nonsensical segment. It was two black women. One of them was a doctor. And she had long, flowing hair, kind of Angelina Jolie-esque hair. And the other had a natural sort of Florida from Good Times kind of fro, you know? And the whole story of the whole segment was how dangerous hair relaxer was to women of color. And the doctor who's explaining that it was very dangerous for women of color to use this hair relaxer because it had all these chemicals in it, had the hair going down to her lap.
Oh, my God.
And then the other one, who was tell me more doctor, had natural and did not use the hair relaxer.
Got it.
So we're already off to a dubious start.
Yeah.
For me. Read the headline and tell me what you see, Jillian Michaels.
Parabens have a greater impact on black women's risk of breast cancer than white women.
And the woman who's the doctor expert with the stethoscope around her chin looks like who? Or has hair of what?
Very relaxed hair.
Yeah.
And the one who's like, tell me more about these dangers is full fro, right?
This is true. This is true.
This is a bizarre. I mean, it'd be like talking about lung cancer and the doctor was smoking the whole time. But okay, I got past this.
Okay. But you did? Because that would be where I check back out and go, nothing new going on over here.
This is why I was very intrigued.
Gosh, you dug in.
By these two.
I'm still watching.
The segment, which was presented as black women's and parabens and hair relaxer, was actually 2.5 minutes of hair relaxer talk and then 3.5 minutes of why you needed to get your toddler vaccinated. Which I thought,
wow.
I remember sitting back going, what the fuck is going on here, by the way?
Yeah.
First off, this is served up as hair relaxing conversation and now goes into get your toddler vaccinated. And that wasn't an afterthought at the end of the segment. That was the majority. The lion's share of this segment was discussion about getting your young toddler or infant vaccinated with an experimental vaccination that did them no good. from the same doctor who was just telling you to stop using a flat iron on your head. But we'll hear how they get into it.
Wow.
Well, you know what? Do me a favor. Show me the beginning of the original segment, because that's what this was presented as. And if this doesn't say diabolical in bed with Big Pharma, I don't know what is, because they literally started off by just talking about hair for adults, and then they just went right into vaccinating. But here's the top. Okay. Here's how it started.
All right.
Concerning results are being reported from a new study showing that chemicals found in black hair care and cosmetic products have a greater impact on black women's risk of breast cancer. The study found that chemicals called parabens are responsible for the increased risk in black women, but the same results weren't seen in white women. The parabens also promoted the spread of breast cancer cells in the body with a bigger effect in black patients. Joining me now to discuss, MSNBC medical contributor Dr. Ebony Hilton.
And just got done processing her hair.
Completely unfamiliar with before this study, because often if you're like on the Sephora website, it will know.
All right.
Like,
this is the beginning of the segment.
I have so much to say.
But then it goes right into. We'll give you the other segments. I broke into two pieces. Goes right into this, and this is a longer chunk of the section. So I don't think it's presented as this, but it's not this. So we'll listen to this.
Okay.
And listen how crazy this sounds in 2025.
Okay. I'm going to turn to the topic of COVID. On Tuesday, President Biden announced vaccines are now available for kids under the age of 5. I know a lot of parents out there have been waiting forever for this announcement. What do you want to tell them about vaccinating their children under 5 and how important that is?
Right. For one, I would hope they see that it did take a long time before this was rolled out, because first, safety had to be verified. And that is most important. The second thing I want them to know is oftentimes this was stated early on that kids are protected. But what we know is that 6 times the number of kids died from COVID than the flu this past year. Right. We had 600 children who are no longer with us from 2021 because of COVID-19.
Who had leukemia, bitch.
A method that you can use to help protect your child from being hospitalized and keep them alive to see next year. And there's a saying, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Keep your kids vaccinated. Make sure they're wearing those masks and practice those same mitigating factors that we've been doing now for 2.5 years.
Okay, everything's a lie. Yeah. Masks don't work. Vaxes are bad for your kids. Don't need it. Mitigating factors are, got to wipe down the Amazon box with Clorox before you bring it in the house. This bitch is wrong about everything. Everything. But Jillian's making faces.
First of all, you already said it. It's by design. It's a big pharma plant. We know for a fact that big pharma pays at least 70% of these networks' advertising budgets. So they effectively buy the narrative. Then you add the Trusted News Initiative. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay. So I had Senator Johnson on my podcast, who 5 years ago I would have thought was the devil. Now I'm like, oh, this guy's like the great white hope. So they came up with the Trusted News Initiative to essentially script out the messaging points for the COVID vaccine. And those are those clips of all the different news anchors saying the exact same thing.
Yes.
Go.
Well, there's more. There's more if you want to keep wincing, but we'll play it out. But also, it has to be premeditated.
For sure.
I'm going to talk to the doctor about relaxing her hair for 5 seconds, and then as long as we got you, what about COVID? And then she goes into a diatribe about why you need to get your kids under 5 vaccinated. But keep going. She's got some doozies.
Get ready. Keep your kids vaccinated. Make sure they're wearing those masks and practice those same mitigating factors that we've been doing now for 2.5 years. What we do know is that COVID-19 is linked to a number of different disease processes that we can already trace. They say, well, you can't tell the long-term consequences of the vaccine. Well, yes, we can. In acute time, I've got my vaccine back in December 2020, right? I was the first person at the University of Virginia. We've now been able to track persons like me to see what has happened. Has anything changed?
It's been a whole 18
but what
months.
we also know is that we're tracking people who have COVID-19 children and adults alike. And what we
Listen.
know is that 1 in every 5 persons who've been infected with COVID-19 now has a lingering disability where their organs, their heart, their lungs, their kidneys, their brain is no longer functioning in the same way.
Pause it. 1 in 5. So 20% of people who got COVID, which is everybody, their organs are compromised. 20%, which would be millions of Americans, and forget about worldwide.
I don't even know how to respond to this. It's just bullshit. It'd be like if you told me the Earth was flat or chemtrails are real.
But all I'm saying is whether it's Sanjay Gupta talking about horse pace or this bitch talking about your organs, can we stop listening to these people?
Haven't we, though, Adam?
I guess. They're compromised. She's compromised. She's a
100%.
fucking stooge. Sanjay Gupta's a stooge. Why are we listening? They should have no careers. It should be over. Shouldn't let them anywhere near your kid.
Most people have stopped listening, though, and they are turning to alternative media without question.
But they want to know what's going on. We're going to alternative media. Why not trust us? Why not trust the journalists? Why not trust these two bitches who've been lying the whole time?
You know, it's definitely generational. My mom still believes CNN. I literally saw a meme, and it said, I went to my mom's house. I used parental controls to shut off her CNN. This is how we save America. And I sent it to my mom, and I was like, I love you. Really try to understand why this is going viral. It's the boomers. She's like, are you trying to tell me that the New York Times is bullshit? I'm like, yeah. Like, it's just, it's so hard for them to comprehend. It is like the red pill in the Matrix.
Yeah.
It is just so difficult to believe that this is all by design. And it obviously goes far deeper.
Well, there's more.
Oh, God,
There's even
Adam.
another 55 seconds. The reason it's unthinkable is it's modern times, it's a news network, it's a board-certified physician, and they're having this very sober talk about vaccinations that's all a lie and all wrong. They're trying to motivate you to do something you shouldn't do.
Have you ever tried to talk to a doctor like that and ask them what mRNA tech is?
No, they don't.
They don't know.
Yeah.
I recently sat down with Dr. Heather Hang, who's a PhD, and her husband's Brett Weinstein, and they've got a great podcast called Dark Horse.
Love me, Brett Weinstein.
Right.
Sure.
And I go, Heather, just give it to me in layman's terms. What is this? And she goes, it is by no, I'm going to butcher this, but by no previous definition of a vaccine is this a vaccine. So she explained that you have a vaccine that has live pathogen, like little bits. Then you have vaccines that have dead pathogen with adjuvants, like previously mercury, now aluminum. And then she explained that mRNA essentially is a messenger that tells our own cells to produce a part of the virus. In what universe does that sound safe and okay?
Oh, I know. And then
wait, what?
God forbid Robert Kennedy Jr. shows up and they're like, this wackadoodle.
Right.
This wackadoodle or these wackadoodles?
Can I say one more thing now that you bring him up? Did you see in his Senate hearing when the black senator, I believe her name was Brooks, attacked him because he had cited research that was very credible out of Europe.
Greatest.
You saw that, right?
That was the greatest.
And she goes, are you trying to suggest that I should be on a different vaccine schedule because I'm black? And she was trying to imply that he's like a racist that was putting people of color's lives in jeopardy. And the research showed that black people have a more robust, it's very credible research, by the way. I reposted the research. But that black people have a more robust immune system. And since we don't know what causes vaccine injuries, should we look into, with gold standard research, whether or not they need less adjuvants or less of the pathogen? Here you have them saying, two black women saying black women are more susceptible to parabens, and they're looking out for black women. But when he does it, the implication that he's a kooky racist. It's wild.
It's so paper thin just to play the race card everywhere. And yeah, I think we can pull that clip because I remember where I was. I was in Boca Raton, Florida, and I called Dr. Drew and I was like, can you believe these nut jobs? Also, we're getting back to a sort of process person. Like, he is saying that your people, your race, has a more robust immune system, so you probably shouldn't take something that may be harmful. So the answer to that would be, thank you, Dr. Kennedy, not fuck you, racist.
I know.
But they can't stop it. You can't single out anything.
He didn't make any of it up, though. It's not an opinion. He's citing incredible studies.
She's great. She's great. She's everything that's wrong with modern politics. She doesn't know what she's doing, and then people assume it's a DEI thing. Like, would she really be there? Is it the first woman of color? Like, we getting into this again?
Yeah.
She's a dope. She looks like Sotomayor. Let me just explain something. Mazie Hirono, Sotomayor, that chick, this doctor, Karen Bass, you guys are not doing the movement any favors by putting dumb cows as your front people. You're not helping the cause. You would help the cause. We got really articulate, smart people who are sharp in those positions, but you getting Kamala Harris in that position is not helping your cause. It's hurting your cause.
Isn't that wild?
Because now young kids are going to go, I don't think black women are capable of thinking. And I'll go, son, it's not black. It's just these ones aren't good. Yeah, don't push them forward. All right, we'll play the rest of this just so you can have a seizure.
Now has a lingering disability where their organs, their heart, their lungs, their kidneys, their brain is no longer functioning in the same way that it was before they got infected with COVID-19. And when you take that developing child whose organs have not come to what it's going to be for the rest of their life, and you stress it out, and you put it on that treadmill and say, I want you to sprint. What does that do for the longevity of their life, not only in the quantity of their life and whether or not they will live a full life as we hope to live, but the quality of their life? We don't want to see that. We don't know what that's going to be for COVID-19, and we don't have to risk it because we have a vaccine.
Can you imagine?
It's so important. This information.
The truth was,
I'm like almost applauding.
We created this shit in a lab.
This is a pure propaganda commercial.
It's particularly unknown to us now. There's definitely.
It's a pure propaganda pitch for their sponsors.
Is madness. It's madness watching
now,
it now.
Jillian, do you see why you have to watch what the other side is up to?
But you know what, Adam? I've seen it. I have seen the clip reels of Maddow lying, but I don't think she's lying. I think she's buying it.
Yes.
The ones who were lying, Fauci, Morenz, Birx, they knew.
They lied. Yes.
They lied.
Yes.
Bill Gates, he knew. He
Rochelle
lied.
Walensky, CDC.
I mean, they pushed this through the emergency use, a little loophole, so they didn't have to do the necessary safety testing. And that's why they shut down any conversation about therapeutics, because if something like ivermectin worked, you couldn't push through emergency use for these vaccines. And there are obviously billions of dollars in perpetuity.
I knew this would fire you up.
It is an embarrassment of riches. It's the gift that never stops giving. 18 shots from 6 months to 18, a COVID shot every year.
Oh, but I had Merck in my portfolio, so I won.
Right?
I did learn something during your diatribe.
Go.
You can play. We'll play Senator Elsa Brooks, I guess her name is.
Oh, sorry. That's it. Okay.
Yeah. She, well, this is her sounding like an idiot and him saying, well, you do want to follow the science, right? And she's going, no, I'd rather be offended and be a race victim here. But it's a great exchange. But it is a sort of time capsule. This is what, if people 100 years from now go, what was 2025 like? I'd say, watch this clip.
Right.
That's where we were living. Bunch of dumb cows asking stupid questions of people that were smart and then crying race all the time. So what we do is we elect women of color and we put them in these positions, and then when you disagree with them, they cry race, which is a horrible thing to do as a society. But while you're looking for that, I noticed something.
Ooh.
There was the great Gilda Radner used to do a character called Emily Patella, I think it was. Emily Patella.
I think I recall this.
Gilda Radner. You need to find a little of that because she sounds a lot like Jillian Michaels' mom. And we're going to... Emily Latella, not Patella.
Oh, God.
Emily Latella. Find a clip of that, and we're going to match her up against your mom.
My mom is a brilliant woman, but she is a boomer. And they just are not capable of watching the world as they know it melt in front of their faces.
We'll play the clip of Senator Alsabrook. Sorry.
You said the following, and I quote, "We should not be giving black people the same vaccine schedule that's given to whites because their immune system is better than ours." Can you please explain what you meant?
There's a series of studies, I think most of them by Poland, that show that to particular antigens that blacks have a much stronger reaction. There's differences in reaction to different products by different races.
So I have 17 seconds left. Let me just ask you then. So what different vaccine schedule would you say I should have received?
Narcissist.
That bitch.
What different vaccine schedule
Look at her face.
should I have received?
I mean, the Poland article suggests that blacks need fewer antigens than
This is so dangerous.
measles
I've
vaccine.
read it. Posted the
Kennedy, with all
studies.
due respect, that is so dangerous. Your voice would be a voice that parents would listen to. That is so dangerous. I will be voting against your nomination because your views are dangerous to our state and to our country.
Are you going to freak out or am I going to freak out?
Call him a racist.
You believe that? Is that wild?
Put it in the time capsule. Explain to people 100 years from now what the fuck we're doing.
But of course, if a black person says that black people are more susceptible to parabens, then it's like probably the man put parabens in the product to hurt black people on MSNBC land. But we have no idea, by the way, what causes vaccine injuries.
Right.
And the reality is that they are rare, hopefully. COVID is a different animal entirely. But nevertheless, they occur. That's why in 1986, the drug companies went to the Reagan administration and said, listen, we're not going to play around in this pool unless you give us blanket immunity. It's like, well, can't you make it safer? The vaccine injuries are inevitable, and we currently don't know what causes them or why one human is more prone to them than another. Now, as a layman, one would argue, right, they're meant to stimulate an immune response. So if a black person has a more robust and healthy immune system and you're giving them too much of a pathogen or an adjuvant, which would be like the mercury, previously mercury, now aluminum, and so on, that they might potentially have a more robust immune response. Like, remember the cytokine storm during COVID? That was your own immune system going bananas. Is it possible that this could cause vaccine injuries?
Yes.
Study it. What is the harm in studying it?
There's stuff that Ashkenazi Jews have
For
that
sure.
others don't have.
100%.
And then there's sickle cell, which we don't have. So there's differences. So well, let's follow the science, bitch. By the way, if somebody accused me of having a robust immune system, a great vertical, and a huge dick, I'd be like, thank you. Thanks, brother. Moving on. Could you put that in writing? Thank you. I would not cry racism. All right. Well, Emily Latella. Let's see if your mom can pick up a little of this.
Okay, let me see.
I bet you could do this.
Let's see what we got.
I think you're doing Emily.
Weekend Update recognizes its obligation to present responsible opposing viewpoints to our editorials. Here with an editorial reply is Miss Emily Latella.
What's all this fuss I keep hearing about violins on television? Now, why don't parents want their children to see violins on television? Why, I thought the Leonard Bernstein concerts were just lovely. Now, if they only show violins after 10 o'clock at night, the little babies will all be asleep and they won't learn any music appreciation. Why, they'll end up wanting to play guitar and bongo drums and go to Africa and join these rock and roll outfits, and they won't drink milk. I say there should be more violins on television and less game shows. It's terrible the way things...
Miss Latella, that was violence on television, not violins. Violence.
Oh, well, that's different.
Yes.
Never mind.
No, I think your mom. I think when you do your mom, you channel little Emily.
Here's the difference. There would not be a never mind.
She does.
My mom would be like, but I'm telling you about the violins, honey. You gotta keep them on TV. But we're not. But the violin thing, she still thinks that Rogan believes in dragons. I'm like, no. She saw it on The View. She's like, that guy you guys love, because my son and I will always listen to Rogan in the morning on the way to school. And she's like, doesn't he believe in dragons? I'm like, I finally was like, yeah.
Yeah. He rides one. That's how he gets to work.
Like, it's crazy. They think if it is on a form of legacy media that previously was very esteemed, there's no concept whatsoever that it could be completely captured and corrupted. It's too hard.
Yeah.
To unwind.
Well, also, you've invested like so many years in this thing. And, it's kind of, here's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
People kind of say, or you go like, oh, you lost a lot of money on this stock or this home or this apartment complex or something. And they go, you only lose the money when you sell. As long as you don't sell. I mean, you could have bought stock for $100 and it's now down to 1 nickel. But if you don't sell,
it's not a recognized
you really
loss,
didn't recognize the loss,
right.
And your mom doesn't want to sell. And as long as you don't sell, you don't recognize the loss, even though we all know that was a blue chip stock and now it's a penny stock. But you're not selling because you're hanging on to some belief. But you never really have to take the loss until you sell. Could be anything. Could be real estate. But the loss is really technically when you sell. And she's not selling.
No, she is not selling. And you can send her information, like you could show her that clip and she'll still tell me, well, the vaccine works. I'm like, where are you getting this from? And she'll find an article from 2021.
But I think, pardon me, but I think at the end of the day, it's a kind of a narcissism. Like, are we not willing to entertain the notion that you may have been wrong about some stuff? Because that's kind of what all we're saying is let's entertain the thought that you got duped and you picked the wrong horse and that you were wrong about things.
With her, it's not that. It's just that I truly believe it is too terrifying for her to really understand what's going on. Like when you look at, like she sent me this one article about the efficacy of the vaccine and it mentioned the Virality Project. Are you familiar with this?
No.
Okay. So Bill Gates funded through Stanford something called the Virality Project, which was designed to seek out vaccine hesitancy on the web. That is the brief that went to the Biden administration and directed who, what, and how to censor people online. I had a woman named Brianne Dresden who wrote a book called Worth a Shot, who was injured during the AstraZeneca trial, educate me about this entire thing. She's suing the Biden administration over it. Bill Gates obviously has gazillions invested in the tech and the drug companies. So my mom sees that Bill Gates has funded this, and to her, the article makes him out like he's an angel trying to protect people. And look at this, look what they've done. He even put together this project to source out like vaccine hesitancy to save lives on his own dime. I'm like, Mom, like there's no universe where she can see that this guy is part of the axis of evil, that this was by design, that he's heavily invested in this, that this is all gain of function research. It's too scary. I'm serious. I really think for her, to know that the entire system is rigged. And then when you see him trying to censor people and to go after the First Amendment, if you really believe that your government is trying to do that, I think it's deeply, deeply disturbing. And for her, it's like, no, it's got to be for our own good because it's mentally too much to handle. For the other people, I do agree. For the majority, it's like, I'm doubling the fuck down. I want men in sports. I want sex changes for 5-year-olds. I mean, the Democrats are fucking bananas. You saw that clip with, I'm sorry, I dropped that bomb again. The clip with,
we like it.
Oh my God, Trump and the governor of Maine.
Yeah.
Who's like, no, I'm going to fight you and I'm going to see you in court and boys or whatever she wants, trans girls will play in sports. And Trump is like, you lost.
Right.
Nobody wants it, you fool.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you there is a thing, because I had a real progressive hippie mom. First, right under the veneer of peace and love is rage, number one. Number two, you cannot defy them. It's just a battle. Just everything's about. They just dig in. It's just a battle.
Right.
They take everything to the grave. You'll never hear words like, you know what, I got to rethink this one, or maybe you're right, or I feel differently than I guess everyone else does, because I don't feel like they don't do any of that. All there is outward rage. There's never reflection. All right. We got some news, by the way, which Jillian will be equally as animated about.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump right in. In a dramatic shakeup for Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass has dismissed Fire Chief Kristen Crowley, citing her inadequate handling of last month's catastrophic wildfires, among the most destructive in California's history.
I love it when they turn on each other.
Yeah.
That's great.
If Crowley chooses to appeal her filing, she'll need 10 of the city council's 15 members to vote with her to succeed.
Well, it's weird because I went to a thing at the Kings games, like the salute to the heroes, and it's like, look, hanging back and watching your entire state burn to the ground, it's awesome, but I don't know. Hero is more guys rushing into the building at 9/11, not guys who never prepared for a building that was going to collapse for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is, hello, everyone. You guys didn't do any of the countermeasures that would have prevented this. And then we had a shit show.
That's the big thing. Bass called out Crowley for sending home 1,000 firefighters the day the fires broke out. And Crowley's alleged refusal to do an after-action report.
What I don't get is, all I heard for 2 days or 3 days coming in is we're going to have big winds, and big winds means big fire.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting in my SUV going, all right, well, I hope they must have got the message, because I'm getting the message every 20 minutes on the radio.
Right, exactly. Set up a command. Again, I'm sorry, I don't want to take credit for other people's words, so I'm going to say, I don't know if you've seen Mike Schellenberger talk about this, but he's like, they knew on January 2nd that we were going to have these crazy winds. Bass leaves, I believe, on January 4th. Mm-hmm. He goes on to talk about the fact that at that point, Newsom should have already reached out to other states, Mexico, Canada. Can we borrow your firefighters? He should have pre-positioned people. He should have made sure all the ducks were in a row. There should have been a protocol to evacuate people. None of that was done. None of it.
Yeah.
And that's just step one in the long list of screw-ups.
Yeah, but let's get, psychological about it for a second. I have just realized, and any one of us will know how this works when you have a relationship. There's things that are nuts and bolts and boring with just you and your partner. Like you go, oh, we should get one of those automatic shutoffs for the gas in case there's an earthquake that shuts. And they go, I don't know, you do it. I don't know. Like it's not sexy. It's not interesting. And by the way, they're not going to a cocktail party and going, guess who just got an automatic shutoff for the gas line in case there's an earthquake? Like nobody cares. And it makes sense in that we'll reverse engineer it. I love all the nuts in the bolts. You know what I mean? I love the preparation stuff. I used to do earthquake rehab work. I understand how to rehab a building for earthquakes. And I know how stuff works. And I find this stuff interesting. Now, what I find not interesting at all is that, everyone is free to love in California, and we all need to sit at the table. No one's illegal. No child should ever go to bed hungry. I go, yeah, okay, fuck off. I don't have time for that. That doesn't mean anything. But I do want to get in and rejet the carburetors in a race car or something like that. I like the nuts and the bolts. Like, I like that stuff. These people, Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom and many other like-minded folks around the country that are in positions of power, have expressed zero interest in the nuts and the bolts. They're not. I've heard them talking about gay rights and LGBT community and children and LGBT community and, all their euphemistic access to this and that and all their seat at the table and stuff. I've not heard anything about water or volume or aqueducts or whatever. And I'm not, it's not even a knock on them. They're not interested. That's not what they're interested in. What they want is to sit and talk about feelings and about inclusion and equity and all this stuff, which is fine. But don't expect them to be Johnny on the spot when the shit goes down, because they're not. Because they're not interested in it. She wanted to go to Ghana to do a photo. Now, look, if someone said to me, let's, again, reverse engineer.
Okay.
Mayor Adam. Yeah. I want you to go to Ghana. For what? Put on a ceremonial headdress and we're going to take pictures of you pretending to dance with folks from Ghana. I'd go, that sounds fucking miserable. And they go, yeah, but we'll get some pictures. I don't want you to take pictures. What am I going to do? You're going to go there. You're going to meet the mayor of Ghana. They're going to present you with a ceremonial headdress. Right. Then you put it on. Then we shoot B-roll of you dancing with kids. I go. Let's go fuck with the aqueducts. I don't want to do that. And they go, well, you're going to Ghana. I go, how long's the flight? They go, well, 26 hours. To do what? To take pictures of you with a ceremonial headdress on, dancing with the mayor of Ghana, and then a bunch of village kids. And I'd go, well, that sounds miserable and doesn't feel like it would do anything, and I'm not interested. Now, I'm not. Now, my mom would be horribly interested in it. She would love it. And if I told her, we're going to cancel the trip to Ghana, and we're going to do a field trip up to the aqueducts to check the cracks and to see why they're not at capacity, my mom would go, fuck that, I'm going to Ghana. Because she has no interest in that. And by the way, I know tons of women who would just be like, I don't want to look at aqueducts, I want to go to Ghana. Most women I know would do that. Right. So we just elected someone who thought it'd be cooler to do that than to hang out here and talk about clearing the brush.
Well, okay.
And now we got a bunch of those people. California has Gavin Newsom.
Right.
He's very Ghana bound. That's what he's thinking about is that.
He's thinking White House.
He gives speeches and he talks about nothing other than coming to California and being free to love.
Yes.
So he doesn't get into like, look, we're building a bullet train. It's going to cost this much per mile for this train. Here's what we're behind. But here's what they built in Tokyo. It costs this much a mile. We should be able to get, no. It's just good vibes. Good vibes, good vibes. So why would the outcome be any different than everything just being burnt to the fucking ground?
I think you're being too kind. And the reason I think you're being too kind is because we know this is an issue. This has happened numerous times before.
Your house burnt down.
2018. Right? By the way, the one I sold in 21 when I moved to Miami, gone. So the two homes I owned in Malibu, within 5 years, both destroyed. So... okay.
By the way, remember when I lent you that cordless drill? And you're like, I'm going to give it back to you, Adam.
You did?
And then the house burnt down.
Did you remember that?
Yeah.
You
don't remember that? He's been sore about it this whole time. When they said you were coming in, he was like, oh, my drill.
Shut the fuck up.
It was a Milwaukee 19-volt spare battery keyless chuck.
Why would I take the drill?
He keeps mentioning
I didn't take the drill.
It's gone.
It's gone.
No way.
It went in the fire.
This is bullshit.
You don't have to buy me a new one.
I do have an Alzheimer's gene. I have an ApoE4 gene.
I'm kind of out of a drill.
I'm going to let you off the hook for that one.
Did I take this fucking drill?
There's a Home Depot right up the street if you got... Look,
when did I take the drill?
I lent it to you. You said, I promise to have it back. Then the fire came. And
my lawnmower...
No, fun shot. I took the drill. No way.
I don't have a drill anymore.
All right, get out of here.
All right, I'll do holes by hand.
Get out of here.
I'll do stuff by hand.
Come on. I'm I'm saying. Fucking almost send you a gold drill, bitch. I swear to God.
I'm out of the drill.
Diamonds on the handle. All right.
Obviously, after the fire, that was the last year. That was the last year concerns, and I didn't want to be insensitive and ask you for the drill back after the fire, so I stood back. But it's been a long enough amount of time, and the app is doing well, and the fitness app.
Okay. You sure that was me?
Yeah.
For sure it was you.
In more lesbian firefighter news, authorities are investigating a case involving a woman now suspected in the fatal stabbing of her wife, a Southern California fire captain.
Oh, this one's
Yolanda Marodi, 53, has been on the run in the wind since authorities named her as the prime suspect in the brutal killing for 49-year-old wife, California fire captain Rebecca Marodi, last week.
I got to tell you, man, when they get the short cropped hair, they put the tie on and the jacket, it's kind of hard to tell if that's a chick or a
I'd
dude.
be like, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for your service, sir. Yeah, and now the funny thing about this story, not funny, I should say, the terrifying thing about this Yolanda Marodi has already did time, was sentenced to 13 years and 8 months in prison for voluntary manslaughter on her ex-husband.
Whoa.
Yeah. This is the exact same M.O. that she pulled on Rebecca, found stabbed to death in her home.
With a cordless drill, I heard.
I was just going to say, are you sure you didn't give her the drill?
I got a pretty good memory for tools and who I lend to. But anyway.
Yeah, so that she's on the run.
What?
She's on the lam. If you've seen this woman, call the cops.
What percentage of Americans have killed their husband and their wife?
I mean, that's a Dateline special.
Yeah.
You get a Dateline out of that.
That's a special class of citizen right there.
I mean, a lot of people have killed their husband, and a lot of people have killed multiple husbands, and a lot of husbands have killed multiple wives. But
it's like
who
a rare badge in a video game.
has killed
Really
both?
gotta earn. I mean, that's
You killed a husband and your wife.
Yes.
I just don't get it. How do you get another bite at the apple?
Yeah,
You kill the first one, and they're like, okay, you're good.
Well, I think it goes into Adam's, what he was talking about earlier, some little lesbian hate of men there, where she believed, oh, you just killed that bad man because he was bad. I'll take you in. You're the perfect wife.
She probably did the burning bed, defense of sort of he was abusive, misogynistic, and blah, blah, blah. And then the woman now knew, identified with that when that's never going to happen with us.
Right.
I'm guessing.
And meanwhile, she beat the shit out of her until she stabbed her to death again, just like her ex-husband.
Wow.
Oh, really?
No, I just made that up.
God damn it.
I'm just
Do I have the drill or not?
It's gone. It melted in the fire. I didn't want to burn you. Obviously, you had so much more to think about at the time, but I think it's been long enough. It's been 5 years or more. Yeah, it's been 18. Yeah. It's been 7 years, so I just...
On to real estate news. Fire-ravaged Pacific Palisades lot hit the market at up to $3.95 million.
A lot hit the market?
3.9? Yeah, 3.9.
Just a lot.
Just a lot. A scorched plot of land also in the Pacific Palisade neighborhood just sold for $1.18 million, nearly $200,000 over asking price.
So,
despite being just ashes.
But can you smell it? Is the when
Kamala
you're there?
Says you can smell
Yeah.
the despair
Yeah.
in the air.
The smoke that had once been there. Look at that. Bananas.
I wonder how big a lot it was. Does it?
Yeah, we don't have the post, but I'm assuming it's one of those right there.
That is the game, though. The game is, sorry, but at the end of the day, it's going to be extraordinarily difficult to rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to, and you got to pay your mortgage on the house that just burned to the ground.
Yeah.
While paying for temporary housing until that's done, which is going to be years. You talked about the permits. I spent a year just getting a permit to clean the property and was so fed up I sold it.
Oh, so during this is 2018.
Yeah.
Shortly before I lent you the drill. I'm sorry, but it was a Milwaukee. It was a 19 volt, and it had a spare battery and a keyless chuck.
Yeah.
And a drill index, too. There's different drill bits on there.
Flashlight on the bottom. I remember that drill.
This happened. I would have to go. This is bullshit. I want you guys to know.
magnetic cartridge with a number 2 screw tip in there because I said drill the pilot hole first and then put the screw tip in and sink the screw.
You hung your TV with it.
No, I had a handyman who had his own drill, which may have burned at the house, but nevertheless.
All right. Milwaukee, 19 volt. All right, anyway. The point is, with the carrying case, anyway, look, my dad gave it to me. It's one of the last gifts he gave me. But it's all right. It's gone. There's a Home Depot up the street. You know.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just move forward. Okay?
This is a lie. There's no drill. I'm sure of it. If I go back in time, the first time I did this show, I believe was the first time I got to meet you in person. And that was post 2018.
No.
Yes,
you don't
100.
remember correctly.
There's no shot. I took the drill.
Milwaukee drill, 100%.
No,
you asked for the drill.
No.
Yeah, with a big smile on your face.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because I remember you told me you called a guy from TaskRabbit and he showed up with a Black & Decker and you were super pissed. And I said, you should step up to Milwaukee.
Homo. There's no way. Because I could definitely see that another lesbian would probably know how to use the drill. But I have de-evolved because I can hire.
Yeah, you said the TaskRabbit guy showed up with a Black & Decker.
No. This guy worked for me for years. No. Okay. I'm going to call him on the phone. No. It's not true.
Conservatives say good riddance to Joy Reid's MSNBC show as liberals slam the network shakeup.
Hold on a second. So it took you a year to try to get a permit to clean up.
Yeah, it took a year.
Yeah, they don't.
A year to get a permit. So you couldn't. Okay. So at that point, I said, all right, that's it. We're not going to rebuild. This is going to take years to design the house and permit the build. I'm going to take the insurance. I was very well insured, thank God. I'm going to take the insurance money for the house. I'm going to sell the land.
Were you up in the hill or on the
We
coast?
were a half a mile in from Zuma Beach on Bonsall Drive.
Half a mile in, meaning up the hill?
Yes.
Okay.
So half a mile in from PCH.
Up the hill.
Across the street from Zuma. And so I went to my neighbor who did not lose their house, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, he gave me my jigsaw back because he said it didn't melt, and he said
picked it up. Yeah,
he said I have something called dignity, and I remember he returned that to
you
me.
guys are fleecing me for $180. Where's Mike? This is Mike's racket. I know Mike is behind this.
Well, it's $180 for the Milwaukee 19 volter, but remember I had the drill index in there too, and the screw cartridge with the number 2 tip. But
you're going to get a drill. I just want you to know. And when you do, you're going to be like, I feel like a dick. She never took the drill. I'm going to send a drill. You will receive a drill. I'm going to gift wrap that shit. You will be getting a drill.
I will go right to Habitat for Humanity and throw up some homes if I ever get a drill from you. And it'll be great to be reunited with my drill, even if it's a separate drill. But I get it, same make. So it took you. They're never going to let us rebuild because
no way. No.
The greatest power the government has, like everyone kind of goes, well, what is it? Is it taxes? Is it parking tickets? Is it, school vouchers or something? It's the permit process.
Yeah.
The permit process is you say to the government, may I do this stuff on my own land, and may I pay you for the opportunity to do it? And they go, we're going to think about it.
Yeah.
But don't hold your breath.
That's right.
And then everyone who has no incentive to help you or to expedite this process or to do anything just bends you over and sticks it to you. And they just go, that's it. And they just have dominion over you. And there's nothing you can do. It's totally frustrating. And you just go, all I'm trying to do is do work on my own property that I pay property taxes on to you. And they go, not so fast, champ. And then they go take a break and they sit down. And that's the process. And there's no you going across the street to some alternative whatever. There's some versions of things where, like, you want to get clear at the airport, and it's security, but it's also privatized, and so you can go to a local kiosk or something. This is all government all the time. The biggest bureaucratic mess and the biggest pencil pushers. It's all in the permit property. It's all in the plan check. It's all there. And it grinds things to a halt, and it's everything that's wrong with big government. And you never experience it as long as you're renting apartments and working at Starbucks. But when you get something and you go in and talk to these people, you will learn to despise this big government. And California has completely snowballed out of control in that department. And they claim to sort of go... it's like a tiger saying to a gazelle, "No, move into my cage. I've gone vegan." And the gazelle's like, "Really? Oh, yeah, I'm different. But you ate my mom." "Yeah, I know, but that was the old me.
I'm changed."
"Yeah, I'm changing.
Found God.
I'm changed."
Yeah.
Even if the tiger thinks he's changed, how long is that tiger going to sit in that cage with that gazelle before he devours it?
It's big money, though.
They can't stop themselves.
It is big money.
That's where we're at right now.
One of the reasons they wanted... or they made us wait a year is because then they turned around and they're like, well, the city may have to do the cleanup. File with us if you want the city to do. So the game was you can't hire somebody independent. The city wanted your insurance money to do the cleanup.
Oh, right.
That was the trick. And I was like, oh my God.
And remember, Kamala Harris,
crazy.
at the beginning of the show, she didn't say anything about expediting the cleanup or expediting the permit process or getting a team in here to start rebuilding. She's like, it smells toxic-y. And like smokers, like smoky and toxic. She said it smells toxic. You know what I mean? Oh, that's all they're saying. It's like, we got to slow it down. Meanwhile, it rains and it all just drains into the ocean. Goes right into the ocean. All your toxic shit you're worried about,
so
bitch.
Bad.
It's all killing the fishies.
Yep. It's bananas how bad it is. It looks like a war zone.
I know.
It truly is dystopian. It's hard to believe until you're physically there and you see it with your own eyes, and it doesn't compute. It's bizarre.
I mean, you guys can find the clip that I put out last week or the week before, but you can see it's I don't know what it is, a 30-second, whatever. I released my whatever, but I don't need the whole thing. But 2 months ago, Trump was up there going, hurry up.
There's no plan.
And
nothing.
Mayor Bass was like, but safely. It's like, no, not safely. Hurry, let people clean their land. And she was like, we're going to do that. We're going to. No, you are not. You have no intention.
There's no plan.
By the way, you can't do it. It's not in your DNA. You're not practical. You're a talker. You're not a doer.
Adam, there's no one in charge in Malibu. So
that's right.
Nobody. There's like an interim person and nobody knows what to do. And Malibu's essentially an island because we just had the Franklin fire on the other side.
I had to evacuate 3 weeks earlier. I said to my sister before I went in there, I go, is there some website that you could go to? And she's like, there is a website. And I go, is there anything on it? Updates? Anything? She's like, no. Like, okay.
No, there's no plan. And that's what they were telling me, is that there's no one in charge. There's no one running the show. Oh, here you go. Yeah, there's no plan. No one knows what to do.
Yeah, this is...
And it looks exactly the same as it did January 9th.
This is 2 months ago. This is 1 month ago?
Yeah,
or 2
1 month.
1 month ago. Okay, sir.
And the number one thing that we are going to do immediately, and you will see this happen, is to clear out the debris.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't cost a lot.
Yes, and they can.
I just think you have to allow the people to go on their site and start the process tonight.
And we will.
Well, Mayor Karen Bass, you can pause it there.
Yep, there you go.
And we will. And we will like never, or and we will like you're lying, or...
There's no process.
You have the president of the United States going, I want people to go out on their property, I want to clean and dispose of the garbage. And you go, and we will.
Right.
Except for you will not, and you have no intentions of it, and it's never going to happen. And then the floods came, and it's all in the ocean
Are
now.
you hearing imminent domain? Because I'm hearing that. I'm hearing that
really?
they may not let people rebuild.
Well, never let a good tragedy or disaster go to waste. I mean, that's what happened with COVID. They're like, oh, let's see if we can get Trump out of here and get this mummy Joe Biden installed because we got a little something called COVID. Well, that's going to work it, man. So, yes, whoever wants to do whatever they want to do, they never state what they want to do, which is this, I want full command over you and everything you do all the time. And I really don't even like rich people or people that own property. I'd like us to own it, and we can see if we'll lease it back to you. But they never can say it. So what they say is, and we want people to come in and rebuild as fast as possible.
Right.
Now, Trump is not a process guy. Trump's a commercial builder. So his mind's going, let's go. And Karen Bass is sitting there going, I wish I was back in Ghana.
Yep. What do you think Newsom's thinking, though? Because this kind of circles back to, I just don't like to do it. I have to call bullshit on that because I can point to specific bills that landed on his desk that passed with broad consensus across all the legislative bodies in California. For forestry management, Bill AB 2330 was one, and he vetoed it.
Yeah. Well, I should say...
You're done. The work is done.
He doesn't have an interest in it, and he has much greater interest in the sort of good vibes club.
But Adam, sign it. Who gives a shit what you have interest in? The work is done for you. Why did he not sign it?
He's getting pressure from environmental groups.
And what they want to do, like they want to, what is that bill? They wanted to trim
forestry management.
Environmental groups think you intervening in any way.
Yeah, but we have humans living here.
But they also, listen, if you want to cut your son's dick off, no problemo. But let's not intervene in the forest now. That's how they work it.
So what are they Na'vi? Are they some type of forest creatures, these people?
It depends on the issue. Right. I mean, literally, it's like all the smelt fish. The supporting the people who grow shelled nuts. Like, there's all different kinds of elements
more than most people, and I think that, man,
we always did controlled birds growing up here.
They didn't want to hurt the milkweed.
Yeah, because the mark butterfly. But the reality is that you gotta call bullshit on that because anybody with a brain, the 3-year-old bellowing on your plane, could put together that these fires release more carbon, more toxic shit. The mattress that melted. I mean, forgot all that stuff that goes into the air, rains on the crops in the middle of the state, drains off into the ocean. It doesn't take a genius. So what's actually going the fuck on?
I know. Well, now we're getting into, is there some sort of evil motivation?
Go down that road, but it does not make sense.
I agree, but also Karen Bass is fucking dumb.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And a lot of these people are just dumb.
Newsom's not dumb. He's a sociopath. You said it, and you're right.
He is. He's a sociopath. The other people are just kind of...
But Adam, he's the tip of the spear.
I agree. All right. Mayhem, I want to hear those other stories tomorrow because they're so good. But Jillian, Jillian's so passionate.
We love it.
I love it too. It's Keeping It Real with Jillian Michaels, and then also the fitness app, which you should definitely explore as well. And you can go to the website, JillianMichaels.com, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be in San Luis, but that's selling out. But Monterey, there's tickets left for, and that's Saturday at the Golden State Theater, and then Uptown Theater in Napa. But you can go to amcroll.com for all the live shows. Jillian, always great to see you, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Just kind of...
You drill. Fuck off.
I'm going to put I'm just going to put my nose against the glass.
Drill.
The Home Depot's right up the street. It's walking distance.
Is drill. Oh, my God.
Until next time, I'm over Jillian Drill Stealing Michaels and Mayhem Miller saying mahalo.
Oh, my God. Thank you so much for having me.